You feel everything. Other people's pain lands in your chest like it's your own, and somehow you keep ending up in the same kind of relationship. Not because you're careless, because there's a specific type of person who is, almost by design, drawn to exactly what you offer. And here's where most people get confused. They mix up two very different things: the dark empath and the covert narcissist. Today, we're drawing a clear line between the two, because understanding the difference changes how you understand your own patterns, not just theirs. Let's start with why empaths specifically become such a consistent target in the first place. Empaths offer something incredibly rare: deep, sustained emotional attention. In psychological terms, this is sometimes called narcissistic supply, a steady source of validation and focus. An empath doesn't just give attention once. They give it consistently, they forgive quickly, and they keep trying to understand, which makes them an unusually reliable source. So this isn't random bad luck. It's closer to a pattern match, a specific personality type consistently drawn toward a specific supply of emotional resource. Now let's talk about the term covert, because this is where most confusion starts. Overt narcissism is loud, grandiose, easy to spot. The person who dominates every room, brags constantly, needs to be the center of attention. Covert narcissism is quiet. It can look like shyness, sensitivity, even humility, which is exactly why it's so much harder to identify. A covert narcissist might play the victim, use subtle guilt, or express a quiet, persistent sense that the world owes them more than it gives. The core trait, a deep need for validation and a lack of genuine empathy for others, is identical to overt narcissism. Only the delivery method changes. Now, the dark empath. This is a different profile entirely, and it's the one most often confused with covert narcissism. A dark empath genuinely has empathy. They can accurately read what another person is feeling, but they use that accurate reading strategically, sometimes to their own advantage. A covert narcissist, by contrast, struggles with genuine empathy. They may mimic emotional understanding, but it's often surface-level, learned behavior rather than real perception. That's the core distinction. A dark empath feels accurately and chooses to use it. A covert narcissist doesn't feel accurately and compensates by performing. Both can be difficult to be close to, but they are not the same thing. And mislabeling one as the other means missing what's actually happening in the relationship. Now let's look at what actually happens inside a relationship with either profile, because the pattern, once you see it, is strikingly consistent. Stage 1, idealization. Everything moves fast. You feel more seen, more understood, more special than you've ever felt with anyone. This isn't an accident. The intensity is often intentional, designed to build attachment quickly, before you've had time to evaluate calmly. Stage 2, devaluation. Slowly, the warmth cools. Small criticisms creep in. You start adjusting yourself, trying to get back to how things felt at the start. This stage is disorienting specifically because it's gradual. By the time you notice the shift, you're already deep inside adjusting your own behavior to compensate. Stage 3, discard. Sudden withdrawal or a sudden ending, often at the exact moment you start setting a boundary or asking for accountability. Stage 4, hoovering. Just when you start to heal, they return. An apology, a crisis, a sudden reminder of the good early days, pulling you back in. The term hoovering comes from the vacuum brand, because the pull back in can feel exactly like suction, hard to resist even when you know better. This cycle can repeat for months, sometimes years, and each time the idealization phase gets a little shorter and the devaluation gets a little faster. So here's the question people ask most: if the pattern is this clear, why does the empath stay? The honest answer isn't weakness, it's neuroscience. Specifically something called trauma bonding. Trauma bonding happens when a relationship alternates between intense reward and intense pain, the same intermittent reinforcement pattern that makes slot machines so hard to walk away from. Unpredictable rewards are, neurologically, more addictive than consistent ones. Your brain keeps chasing the next win, which in this case is the return of that early idealization warmth. So staying isn't about being naive or weak. It's your brain's reward system responding exactly the way reward systems are built to respond. Understanding this doesn't excuse the pattern, but it does remove the shame that so often keeps people stuck even longer. So how does someone actually start stepping away from this cycle? Let's walk through 3 real, practical starting points. Step 1. No contact where possible. This isn't about punishment. It's about removing the unpredictable reward trigger that keeps the trauma bond active. When full no contact isn't possible, like with a co-parent or family member, the alternative is gray rock, becoming deliberately uninteresting, unreactive, and low information. Gray rock works because it removes the emotional reaction that a covert narcissist or dark empath dynamic often depends on to stay engaged. Step 2. Rebuild boundaries slowly. In low-stakes situations first, practice saying no to small things before you need to say no to big ones. Boundaries aren't walls, they're just clearly stated limits, and for someone recovering from this pattern, even small ones can feel unfamiliar at first. Step 3. Expect the hoover and plan your response in advance. Decide now, while you're calm, what you'll do when contact comes back, because it often does. Having a plan already written down makes it much easier to hold your ground in the moment, when the pull to respond feels strongest. One more important note. This video describes patterns, not diagnoses. Nobody watching this should use it to label a specific person in their life with certainty. If you're in a relationship that feels like this cycle, the most reliable next step is talking to a licensed therapist who can look at your specific situation directly. So, to bring it back to the beginning, you're not weak for feeling everything. You're not broken for staying as long as you did. You're not weak. You were targeted. And now that you understand the pattern, you're already harder to target the same way again. If this helped you make sense of a pattern in your own life, let us know in the comments. Which stage of the cycle hit closest to home? Share this with someone you know who keeps ending up in the same kind of relationship. Sometimes just naming the pattern is the first step out of it. Subscribe for more psychology breakdowns every week. Understanding the pattern is how you stop repeating it.